Hey, friends, we're in interesting territory here. 10 players will have their waivers expire on Thursday. So we're going to power rank how all 10 of those players would be fits for the Twins. This is a Locked On Twins short.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? This is Brandon Warren with Locked On Twins, and we're going to chat with you a little bit about the players who are going to clear waivers on Thursday. 10 of them that we have here power ranked, and they're obviously going to be at various different fits for your Minnesota Twins. And before we get started, this episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Sales. Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and the seller at every stage, especially when the sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales, and we built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So right now you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedin. This is linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started. But I tell you, between LinkedIn and Locked On, I think I jumbled up my words there. But that is not what we are here to talk about right now. The Twins are in a unique position. Largely the Angels are to blame, but a huge swath of Angels players who are impending free agents were placed on waivers earlier in the week. That waiver term will come full circle on Thursday. And what's important here is that as long as a player is in a team's organization before September 1st, they're eligible to play in the postseason. So now it used to be you could make waiver trades up until this point of the year. But I believe 2019 that changed. So now it's going to be 10 players assigned to whoever claims them in waiver order, which is based on reverse record. So according to MLB Trade Rumors, this article just came out recently, the waiver priority in order, let's see, take a second, so we'll just do it fast. Oakland, Kansas City, Colorado, Chicago, St. Louis, Detroit, Pittsburgh, the Mets, the Nationals, the Padres, the Angels, the Guardians, the Yankees, the Marlins, Reds, the Twins are number 16, Red Sox, Diamondbacks, Giants, Cubs, Blue Jays, Brewers, Phillies, Rangers, Astros, Mariners, Rays, Orioles, Dodgers, and Braves. So, Twins and Boston have priority over Arizona for players waived by AL teams, and Arizona over those teams if they are an NL team that they were waived by. Now, when we look at this list, it's AL heavy. You do have Carlos Carrasco from the NL side. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not missing anybody here, but I believe that's it. So it's not going to really affect the Twins because number 10 on our list, the NL player, is probably not going to be claimed. But again, this is a unique situation because you have to be careful with this many guys. Like if you're a team in the postseason race, but you have some holes, you can't claim, for instance, all three outfielders and hope that you only get one because you could end up with all three. 40-man spots right now are at a premium, especially with contending teams. I mean, 40-man crunch is real. But so I'm going to be curious because, no team's going to end up with 6 of these guys. Now, ideally, if you were in need of 6 of those guys, you'd be able to, shop the clearance aisle here. But there is significant talent available here, and that's not including guys who were released like Josh Donaldson and Trey Mancini, who Mancini, I think, might have been a fit for the Twins earlier in the year if they still needed help at first base. And technically they do, but Alex Kirilloff is on a rehab. So we'll see what happens there, but I just don't think, and Josh Donaldson's probably going to go unsigned and he might just be done. But yeah, I think Mancini would have been a better fit earlier in the season, but the Reds released him. I hope he lands somewhere because, we still want to root for him. Also, Noah Syndergaard DFA'd by the Guardians. I don't really think the Twins will be in that mix. Jerkson Profar released by the Rockies. Also don't think he'll be much of a factor, but certainly helps that he plays all over the place. Now, we're just going to dive right into it. We got 10 guys here. And so number 10, Carlos Carrasco. Now, Carrasco's a great story. He's a great pitcher who came up as a starter, struggled, relieved for a while, then went back to the rotation. Actually didn't relieve that long. But anyway, the Guardians really had a nice run with him. Things down the stretch were different just because he got sick. But, he hasn't been very good for the Mets, which, again, it's the Mets. But he was good last year, 3.97 ERA, strikeout per inning. But this year he's been absolutely obliterated. 6.80 ERA backed by a FIP that's 5.87. So you could say he's unlucky, but he's still just not good. Opposing batters have a 912 OPS against Carrasco, and in the last 28 days, a 1,056. So Carrasco would be my bottom fit. I just don't see it. That is, again, number 10. Number 9, Jose Cisnero, a reliever from the Tigers. Now, I was surprised to see that Cisnero was 34 years old. I wasn't aware. Has not been particularly good this year, and the biggest issue is that he's been absolutely dreadful in the second half. Now, his numbers in the first half were fine, maybe even good. But he's just completely disintegrated in the second half. Yeah, in the first half, 3.44 ERA, 9.5 strikeouts per 9, but a 1.35 whip. So not really a guy you would have wanted to have in big spots, but a decent enough line mover at the beginning of a bullpen, say in the Dylan Floro role. But in the second half, he has a 9.82 ERA. The strikeouts have spiked to 12.3 per 9, but he has a 1.84 whip. So really no fit here unless it's like they really just want to fortify the front end of the bullpen with a hard thrower. And even then, I mean, what's he going to give you that, honestly, Josh Winder, Cole Sands, whoever won't? So I don't really see it with Jose Cisnero, but he is number 9 on my list. Number 8, Dominic Leone. And Leone has not been good, just not good at all. He's with the Angels now. He was with the Mets earlier in the year. Trade deadline acquisition, 4.64 ERA. He is striking out a batter per 9, but the FIP is 5.42 with a 1.41 whip. So basically, he hasn't been good since 2021. He had a pretty good year with the Giants that season. He was pretty good with Toronto in 2017. But with the Angels, has a 5.25 ERA in 12 innings and way too many walks. 9 walks, 8 unintentional in 12 innings. So, we're not going to necessarily hold a small sample size like that against him. But his time with the Mets was only slightly better. 4.40 ERA, 5.26 FIP. Still incredibly high whip at 1.2. Well, not incredibly high, 1.24. Incredibly high home run rate. 2.1 per 9. Just not a fit here either, I don't think. But that's why he's number 8 on the list. Number 7, Chicago White Sox starting pitcher Mike Clevinger, who's, he's pitched well enough. I'm just not interested because I don't think he's a fit in the clubhouse. And he's got a 3.32 ERA, but FIP of 4.34. Not really striking anybody out. 7.8 per 9, 3.5 walks per 9. To me, that's not a needle mover, and there's really no reason for the Twins to grab another back-end starter. Maybe they want to send Kenta to the bullpen and open up a spot, and they don't trust Dallas Keuchel. whatever. I still, though I'm out on Clevenger. He's number 7. Number 6, Hunter Renfroe on the Angels. Basically the outfield version of CJ Cron. So 240, 300, 479 career slash line. He's 31. Previously hit lefties, but just not this year. 660 OPS against Southpaws. And I don't think he has enough defensive value to make that up. Now, with that said, he's free, basically. He does have it's a $12 or a $13 million salary. I don't have it handy, but I know it's double-digit millions. So it'll be a little bit of money to take on, which not really a disqualifier at this point in the season because it's prorated. But I just don't think there's enough of a fit here to displace someone off the roster, especially when the Twins have 3 offensive players on rehab stints right now: Byron Buxton, Alex Kirilloff, and Willie Castro. I think Castro is probably the closest to coming back, but they're going to be adding 3 hitters. So to me, it doesn't make sense to add a guy who doesn't really make that much of a difference. Randall Grichuk is number 5. He was having a really, really solid season with the Rockies. Again, it's the Rockies, so the offensive environment is not necessarily conducive to giving guys a lot of credit for what they've been producing. So when you look at Grichuk's slash line with the Rockies, it's not going to look as good as it might if it was in, say, San Diego. 308, 365, 496 slash in 64 games with the Rockies, and has not really endeared himself well to the Angels. 562 OPS, hitting a $165. So obviously, he had a 121 OPS plus with the Rockies. So solid, very good, very, very good. Not an incredible amount of defensive value, but he smokes lefties. And as we all know, the Twins have had their issues with lefties this season. So that roster crunch makes things so tough, but it's also going to help that we're coming up on September and there is roster expansion. So with that said, though, I don't know, I could see a position player being claimed, but if it is, I think it's going to be number 4 on my list. And that's Harrison Bader. The Yankees put on waivers, and famously he found out by watching ESPN and said his first question was, what the heck are waivers? So not exactly the Yankees covering themselves in glory by explaining to Harrison Bader that he had been put on waivers. Good center field defense, very good center field defense. Twins may not need that as much with Byron Buxton playing center field on his rehab, but it never hurts to have another capable hand in the outfield. Now, where I really get excited about Bader, 640 OPS on the season. That's not what I'm excited about, but that hides that he has absolutely throttled lefties to a 1,086 OPS this season. Now, that's only 72 plate appearances because he's been injured, but he has 4 homers in 72 plate appearances against lefties and only 3 in 234 plate appearances against righties. So he could fill the Michael A. Taylor role. The problem is Michael A. Taylor's going to have to fill the Michael A. Taylor role once Byron Buxton comes back. And so, what does that mean as far as the roster bunching up? I'm not sure. Again, Twins going to welcome these guys back in September, so the rosters will be expanded. So it may not be that tricky to find room for him. But if that's the case, of the position players listed, Bader is my guy. I always take the guy who can play defense, and it's going to be a good fit on the roster in terms of hitting lefties too. So we are through 4. Now we're down to the final 3. Lucas Giolito is number 3 for me. And I know what you're saying. Twins don't need starting pitching. And technically, that's true. However, opportunities to grab a guy like Lucas Giolito don't come around that often. Now you figure that he's more or less free. You got to pay his salary, but that's not a big deal. And it would allow you to, maybe move some things around to strengthen other parts of the bullpen or rotation, pitching staff, etc. If you get Giolito, put him in the rotation, move Kenta to the bullpen, that could be, one angle to take. but I'm not sure. Now, Giolito has been dreadful with the Angels. 6.89 ERA, and he's earned every bit of it with almost 3 homers per 9. Too many walks. It's been, let's just call it like we see it. It's been an absolute debacle. And at the same time, a guy this caliber, you're always just one tweak away. Giolito is the kind of guy I could see the Twins being interested in the offseason, so you could get a leg up there. But ultimately, I'm trying to pull up the slash line that he's allowed with the Angels. There it is. 258, 345, 563. So in 32 and 2/3 innings, it's been extremely ugly for Giolito. However, he has a 14% swinging strike rate, so he's still missing some bats. Not getting grounders, which is not a disqualifier for this Twins team. I don't know. I would definitely place a claim on Giolito. I think Bader would probably be the one where I'm like, yes, for sure. Grichuk is probably the first one where I'm really enthused about it. And then Renfroe would be kind of like, okay, I can see it. Anybody below that really won't make any sense to me. But Giolito, you can always use starting pitching, so I would definitely give him a look. Number 2, Reynaldo Lopez. So again, another Angel. And so Raylo was sent over at the deadline from the White Sox. And what's astonishing is that the Angels sent back solid prospects. You say solid prospects, it's the Angels, so their system's not that great. But, some people were excited about Edgar Quero behind the plate. Then you get Kai Bush besides. So, 2 prospects, a lefty starting pitcher who's a big, strapping guy at 6'6". Maybe there's something there. Obviously, we should note Kai Bush has been just brutal this season with a 7.74 ERA between 2 levels of AA and a quick stint at rookie ball. Just absolutely horrible. So that's neither here nor there. No, Reynaldo Lopez, again, back-end bullpen guy who throws the living crap out of the ball. Too many walks. So he would not be working the back of games. But if you put him maybe behind Dylan Floro, but ahead of Caleb Thielbar, I would say that's a pretty great fit, really great fit. And if the walks ebb or flow in a positive direction, then you get into a spot where you could probably trust him later in games. With that said, he's got a 1.34 whip this year, so it's a dicey proposition. But for, again, basically free, I'm 100% on board with the Twins claiming Reynaldo Lopez. And then finally, Matt Moore, lefty, absolutely filthy lefty from the Angels, making a little over $7.5 million this year. And if we're completely honest with ourselves, I don't, to me, $7.5 million is quite a bit for a reliever, but he's been that good. Almost a 2 WAR by Baseball Reference, less than a base runner per inning, 47 strikeouts against 10 unintentional walks in 43 innings, and really just parlaying how good he was last year with the Rangers into another really nice run here with the Angels. And it certainly never hurts to have a reliever from the left side. Solid stuff. Certainly not. He's almost like he's got a little Scott Kazmir to him in the sense that his career started one way and is ending a different way, but not necessarily bad. The last few weeks have been tough for Moore. He's pitched to a 7.20 ERA, so 4 earned in those last 5 innings in the last 2 weeks. So it's a small blip on the radar screen, but something to consider nonetheless. Last 2 weeks a 981 OPS against, last 7 days a 1214. So again, it's a tough stretch here, but for the season, he's allowed a 196 batting average and a 615 OPS. Lefties, however, have hit him well. 841 OPS, just a 538 against righties. So it would come down to, if the Twins think a lefty who can get righties out is a big fit for them, I would say go for it, obviously. For whatever reason, Moore has only faced 43 lefties this year against 126 righties. I'm not really sure what to make of that because, I don't know, you'd think you'd want a big-time lefty facing other teams' lefties, but doesn't seem to be the case. If we look back, though, to Texas last year, he allowed a 537 OPS against righties and a 634 against lefties. So I'm not ready to say he can't handle lefties or that he wouldn't handle lefties in a small sample, just that it hasn't been good to this point. So let's recap. Carlos Carrasco, 10, Jose Cisnero, 9, Dominic Leone, 8, Mike Clevenger, 7, Hunter Renfroe, 6, Randall Grichuk, 5, Harrison Bader, 4, Lucas Giolito, 3, Ronaldo Lopez, 2, and Matt Moore, 1. That has been how I would power rank the fits for the Twins among waivers players. Check back later. We're going to have a full recap of the Guardian series, and who knows what else we have on tap. I know I've got a couple players, Matt Cantorino being one of them, that we're working on getting as a guest. But again, thank you so much for checking out this Locked On Twins short, and we'll catch you real soon.